So, hey guys, this is Luke Huff. He's a bass student at Belmont University. He also was in the band Race Up Low Quarter, but he actually recently had to separate because he actually has a fun music project that's starting to take off. And if we have time at the end, we'll actually get into that later. But
Sure.
Luke, when did you start playing bass?
I started playing bass. I guess you could say I started like being interested in the bass when I was like 10 years old. I asked for a bass for Christmas and I got like a little Epiphone SG with like a little tiny amp. It sounded really bad. Um, and I was just kind of fooling around with that. And then later in my life, I was like, I'd say 13 years old when I started taking it seriously because I joined like a School of Rock program as a drummer. And they're like, hey, like we're just starting out. We don't have anyone on bass. Is there anyone who can play bass? I'm like, well, I own a bass. Like I think I could play bass. So I started taking bass lessons, and then from there I realized, oh, like it's really more than most people think it is, and it can be really fun to do that. So started taking it more seriously throughout like high school, and then like right when I was about to go to college at Belmont, I was gonna be AET major, but I was like, no, I want to like do music and I want to be able to play. And bass was really my primary instrument at that point. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna be a bass student and learn how to do this for a living because a lot of people need bassists. That's like a common need in the industry. So I said, you know what, I'll do my part to like help them out and also like make a living doing something that I love. So that brings us to now.
Yeah, that's kind of did you watch the video with Gabe the other day? Did you have time to do that or?
No, I have not yet.
Okay, so you kind of Gabe and you started out the same way at School of Rock, so you both started out in drums
Yes,
and then moved on to a different instrument. So that's kind of cool.
I do remember him saying that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
kind of take me through your School of Rock experience. Like, um, did you play in the house band there and everything?
Yeah, so I was in a couple School of Rocks actually because I lived in a couple places up until college where I now live in Nashville. But I was at the School of Rock Ann Arbor for about a year and a half playing bass and stuff. And I did end up making the house band, but I believe we only played one show before I left to focus on like school and all that. Um, And then when we moved to Georgia, I ended up joining the School of Rock East Cobb, and I auditioned to be a part of their house band, and I got in, and we got to do like the tour thing, and that was really cool. And overall, my School of Rock experience, I would say, is pleasurable. I feel like everyone has like those stories of like, oh, like the owner of like the School of Rock said, oh, I'm not playing well, and it made me cry or something like that. I mean, we all have those stories, but like overall my experience was really good and it really helped me gain like real world experience. I mean it is at like a diet like low level, like you aren't like setting up for a stage or anything, like they have all that like for you, and it is on like a smaller scale, but it really like it don't like underestimate like the experience that you get like playing on stage in front of people and moving and touring and all that stuff. Like you really get that most kids don't really. So that's super cool, and I'd say it really impacted my journey in a significant way.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I know I didn't get to do the tour thing. I got to play at Summerfest though. I
Weren't
know
you in All
Gabe did.
Stars?
No, I was not. I tried out and I couldn't get in.
Ah, oh, dang.
I know. And the last year I just didn't even want to try out because I just was going to be spending my time elsewhere, like not even in Ohio. But me and
Mm-hmm.
Gabe never got to do the tour thing. We got to go to Summerfest instead. But
Ah,
can it take us through like the touring part of it? Because that's something I've never experienced before.
yeah. So it was like a 10-day tour, or like a was it 10 or 11 days? It doesn't matter. But it was like over the span of a couple weeks. We flew out from Atlanta to New York, and then we kind of like took like a route along like the East Coast. Or is it the East Coast? I don't know. Somewhere we went from like New York to like we went to Boston. We stopped in Connecticut, a couple places in like Downingtown, Pennsylvania. Uh, we went to New Jersey, and then we went all the way back around to New York, and then flew back home. Um, and so what would happen is like we had like 6 months up until that point where we were just playing local shows, and we had a huge repertoire built up, like 50 songs. And you know how School Rock is, like they'll switch out players and stuff, and so like we had a really good repertoire where like every stop we would have like a new set list, like a different like mixture of songs, and so you had to be ready to like play those like at any moment. Like you'd be like, well, but sir, we haven't played this song in like a month. Like, too bad, we needed to fill up time. Like, I trust y'all, let's do it. So that was real good experience. Like, oh, you got to be ready. You got to be on your heels. That was one thing that touring really taught me. It was like, you got to be on your toes at like any given moment. They could be like, oh, like we have less time than we thought we would, so we have to cut this. And so you have to be like, okay, got to get in the mindset of transitioning from this song to this song instead of like this song that could have been in the middle. Or on the flip side of that, be like, we have more time than we thought, so we're going to add these two songs, so be ready for that. So that was one thing that taught me. And also like just like, you never know how much of like a toll traveling plus playing music every day can like take on you until you like actually do it. And that's not like to say that it's a bad thing, you know, but like it's like you never really like think about that until it actually happens. So that gave me this experience of like, oh, like if I were to go on a larger scale tour, I would need to do this and this and this to make sure that this doesn't happen, or that I don't get fatigued and burn out like in the middle of touring and stuff. Because I mean, a lot of people who would do like workshops and master classes are like, yeah, you got to exercise a lot when you're going on tour. I'm like, no, like what takes that? Like what amount of touring like takes exercise? But really like your body like will give out because you're giving it your all like every single night with like little to no like preparation beforehand. So like those were a couple things that it taught me. And it was overall it was just fun. Like it was just like, what did I do this summer? Oh yeah, I like toured a portion of the United States. That was awesome, you know?
Yeah. So like, what's one thing that helped keep you on your toes, or like kept you from falling into like kind of like a hole, I would say, for lack of better terms?
Um, I'd say like sleep definitely, and eating right. Um, like I mean, you get a lot of like good food presented to you, and you like go places, but like you gotta be like, okay, I gotta like, you know, step back on this, I'm about to go play. Or like you know, getting a good amount of sleep, which was hard because like you're surrounded by like your best friends. I mean, we knew each other, like we've been in like a close space together for like 6 months up until that point, so we all knew each other really well. But like, you're like, guys, I gotta go to bed, you know, we gotta wake up and do this thing tomorrow. So that really helped. And also like I don't know, like knowing that you had a bad gig, um, it really motivated me to do better. Like like our director would just tell us like, hey, like last night wasn't so hot, or tonight wasn't so hot, and I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed because I know you guys can do better, and that makes me think like, yeah, like I can do better. Like I want to do better, and I want to prove something. So that helps as well. But yeah, just like taking care of yourself, man, because like you can do that for like a long time at a slow pace, or for a short time at a slow pace, but long time at a fast pace is not taking care of yourself. What am I trying to say? Not taking care of yourself for a long time at a fast pace really takes a toll on you. So take care of yourself.
Yeah. So I guess now we'll kind of get into base specific stuff. So kind of like walk me through what your normal setup is, playing a show or at school.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'm not in my usual setup right now. This is like a recording setup. Like if I'm at home with no mics or anything, like I don't have like a 57 or anything, then I'll just like plug into this this Focusrite Scarlett box. But usually my usual setup is, I'm not sure if you could see somewhere there, but that's my amp. It's a Fender Rumble 200. So it's 200 watts. I can tell you I've never had a situation where I've had to use all 200 watts. let alone 100 watts. But it's cool, and it's heavy to carry, and it really throws out your back, so that's pretty cool. And then my bass is this is a Squier, Fender Squier jazz bass, and the thing that most people mention is, oh, the headstock color matches the body color. That's really beautiful. So I mean, it doesn't really help me play, but like it's cool. So, and this is just like a regular 4-string. Like I know a lot of guys have like 5 strings, or like 4-string basses, but this has been the bass that I've had since like high school, and it's just, I mean, I've been changing the strings and making the necessary changes, but other than that, I mean, this has just been my old faithful. And then usually it really depends on the gig. I have a pedal board, and it has a compressor as a bass preacher compressor, and Ibanez 2 screamer, and I also have the Pog 2 for octave generation stuff. But that was when I had like a phase where I'm like, I want to be royal blood. And so I did that. I don't usually use that, but like the tuner and the compressor I have on all the time. But usually like I get to a gig and they're like, oh, you don't need all that. So like I'll usually just like use the amp or whatever, or like just keep the compressor on for a tone. But usually it's just like bass to amp, plug in and rock out. I'm a low maintenance kind of guy. As long as it sounds good. Yeah.
So what made you want to get a jazz bass over like a precision bass or some of like that? I forget what the actual like combination between the two is called. Like where they have like one jazz bass pickup and then like the P bass pickup.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, I got this bass because this is the one they had at School of Rock, and I was like, I like that. It sounds good. Let me get that. This was when I was like 14 years old, so I had no idea about the debate between like the jazz bass and the P bass. I don't know. This is just like worked out for me super well, and I don't really have like a scientific explanation behind it. But like also like what kind of strings you have, determines that too. I believe these are round. Are these round ones? I think so.
Flat wounds? I think they were the last time I played it.
Oh, the flat wounds.
I don't remember.
I wish I knew more about the bass, man. Like people ask me these questions, like, "What are the specs, man?" I'm like, "It's blue," and it sounds good.
I mean, honestly, that's all you need sometimes.
Low key, but like it really depends on like the type of music. And I wish I was smarter about the bass. Flat wounds on jazz bass.
Like, you know me, I buy equipment all the time just because it sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, really, it just kind of goes down to like it sounds good, and I don't know, like no one's yelled at me for having a jazz bass instead of a P bass, so I haven't really had a need to change that. And also, like my bass instructor said, like as long as you have something that looks like a Fender, you will be hired. No, they don't want you to roll up with like a 6-string or like a 5-string or anything like that. He calls it an FSO, a Fender-shaped object, and I do have that. So that's
you do, you do. Unless you're that one guy that plays the bass upside down, or like he plays like the opposite hand. I forget his Victor. No, not Victor.
Oh,
forget what his name is.
Victor Wooten plays with a 6-string, I believe.
Yeah, there's one guy that plays like the bass with like a 5-string upside down. So like I think he's a lefty, but he plays a righty or something like that. It's just like the strings are opposite. So like the thicker strings on the bottom.
That's weird. I don't think I've heard of that guy. I'm trying
to I'd have to look up his name, but
basis. I don't know anyone who's like I was thinking about like Thundercat, who plays like big 6-string, looks like a guitar, but it's a bass, but he like plays chords on it. That dude is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I guess what are some of your favorite songs to play on the bass?
Man, I love getting into like Motown stuff because like James Jamerson is like one of the bass gods. And he's one of my favorites just because like out of like the people that you idolize as a bass player, like who is it? It's James Jamerson, it's Jaco Pastorius, Victor Wooten, Marcus Miller, some other guys like Joe Dart's kind of coming into that.
Oh yeah, Joe Dart.
Insane.
From Wolfpack, right?
Yeah, he's from Wolfpack.
Yeah,
Insane. Like if my
chops on
fingers
that guy, man.
could go that fast, oh my gosh! Like just the dexterity and like the speed. But like the thing I like about Jamerson is like he's not afraid to like serve the tune. Like some bass players think they're too good to like just play a nice groove. But sometimes Jamerson will do that. But then sometimes he'll like throw in little things like trying to think like off the like there's a Four Tops song called Bernadette that I just learned. And I mean it's a nice groove. It's like I mean it's not super fancy. I mean it is because it's like Jamerson is doing like odd things. But I mean for the most part, like and the verses like that. And he's just grooving, but then he'll like throw in little things like that. And he'll just like throw in little things like that, but it's not like a very showy bass line. But then he'll have like songs like Darling Dear, where he's just like Darling Dear by the Jackson 5, where he's just like going all out. I can't even remember it off the top of my head because it's so crazy. Something like that. All the bass heads are gonna yell at me like, "Why don't you know that part note for note?" I'm sorry, it's been a while, but I really like playing Jamerson stuff, and also like also in the terms in like things like bass songs. Jocko actually has one that's like probably like pretty simple for his terms, and it's called "Come On, Come Over," but it's just this really nice like. 2, 3, and it does like the I hope you don't put in a ton of that because Luke Huff butchers bass for 5 minutes straight. I can't do those tunes justice, but those are fun to play. I'd say Darling Dear, Come On, Come Over, and then the last one I'd say is different from that realm is Iron Maiden, The Trooper is really fun.
Yes,
Like
I love playing that on guitar.
Because he's literally just like kind of doing like lead stuff. He's like, frick, I'm butchering that one too. And then it's just like a straight groove.
It's like a little gallop there.
Yeah. Steve was really into that galloping.
Man, that's like a whole different era. Like it's from like Motown. That's like metal, like classic metal, pretty much.
Oh yeah, like really, my music taste just spans like all genres. I love playing like anything. I think my two favorites to play on bass are definitely rock music because of the energy and stuff, and that's a big part to me and a big part of my life. But also like I like jazzier, funkier things just because I get to like go off a little more and test my limits and see what I can do. So that's a very long, convoluted answer to your simple question. But
yeah, I mean, I like the funkier stuff too because I get to do the same thing. I get to kind of mess around a little bit more, and then I get to figure out how I can apply it to my favorite genre to play.
Exactly. Yeah.
Experiencing other genres in order to help create your own sound, pretty much.
Exactly. And another one
So,
is definitely Deantown, but I'm not gonna try ripping that one just yet.
so kind of take me through some of the exercises you do daily to keep like dexterity in your fingers, strength, calluses, anything like that.
I guess like a lot of the exercises I do are just like playing wise. Like I mean everyone runs scales, but like doing it at like increasingly like quicker tempos. Like you can run a C major scale, no trouble. Can you do it double time? Or like doing the modes super fast as well. And so on and so forth. Um, just like doing that, just to like keep the scales and modes in your brain, and also like test your dexterity and speed and all that. And it's not all about speed. It just some songs are faster, you know. Um, uh, Other than that, there's like, you know, like jazz patterns, pentatonic box patterns you could do on like Circle of Force. Like helps you work your way around the fretboard, and like little licks you can do like that helps. That's more like playing stuff, I guess. For things like how to work on your fingers and like prevent calluses and stuff, I mean, the calluses will just kind of go away, like depending on how hard you play. If you play for a while, then if you play like every day for a while, then yeah, your hands will start to cramp up. But like really, all my bass instructor says is like, relax, man, you're gripping too hard. Because like, yeah, sometimes I'll just be like gripping for dear life, and also like I have a bad habit of hooking my thumb over the fret. You got to put it in the middle. That helps too. Just loosening up, and like you know, if there's like a part in a piece where I need more than I have, just like running it slow to a metronome, and having the metronome on like 2 and 4 as well can help. So like if you were to have a metronome and it was like da 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 da, and then you'd be like da, you know, like that. That helps with like timing and stuff. Being able to catch the beat and stuff. I mean, that's just kind of what I do. For the most part, just like practicing pieces and getting that real world experience, I guess, has been helping. And just like playing the instrument in general every day really helps. I can't say like, oh, like you can play worship music like once a day and you'll be a bass god. Like, no, you got to play like some challenging stuff as well, and like test yourself a little each day. So like that's kind of like what I do.
So I guess another question is, what are some like fun techniques that only bassists can do? So like guitarists, like, and I mean, not only guitarists can do this, like, but for example, like fun techniques like the tapping on guitars, harmonics, anything like that. Is there anything like fun you can do like that on bass?
The biggest thing is slapping, and that takes a while to master the slap and pop. And that took me like years to like actually be able to do. But it was like one of those things where it was like, for years I was just like, hey man, I'm struggling on slapping. I don't think I can do it. And they're like, oh, this is how you do it. And then you're just like for some reason, like for a while, I just was not able to do it, but now I can kind of do it. So it really just does take practice. But that is like the biggest like thing that's like exclusive to bass is the slapping. Other than that, I mean, like, I've like messed around with like tapping on the bass, but like that's not really something that like people do. But I mean, it's fun. Like I mean, it's fun, but like not a lot of people do it. It's not. And I mean, Jocko really experimented with harmonics on the bass. He knew where all the things were on a fretless too. That's insane. But yeah, I'm just trying to think. Like, there's not really much that's like exclusive to bass besides slapping. Like, if you slapped bass to somebody, they'd be like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's what the bass does. I mean, people literally say slap that bass as a phrase that just means play the bass.
Yeah, pretty much. I think like Davey 504 like really, really popularized that like recently.
Oh yeah, what's up, slappers?
And then I think there's one guy I really know that does use tapping, and then like that's Billy Sheehan, but like his bass is just this whole weird Frankenstein type bass.
Right. Yeah. But that's all I know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I know too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I have any more bass questions. I don't know how much time we have left.
It doesn't matter.
We only have like 4 minutes left.
It
So
doesn't have to be strictly like 30 minutes.
yeah, I just don't want it to go completely over because it's yeah,
Cutting into things. Yeah, I understand.
yeah. So just to kind of follow up to what I said earlier, he's doing this music thing that's actually starting to take off, and he is what genre did you say it is? Like glitchcore hyperpop?
Yeah, glitchcore,
And
hyperpop.
his name under there is called Glitch Gum. And so do you want to
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that? Kind of like your writing process, like what happened like in the last year?
Sure, just like answer all those. That's a pretty big question.
I mean,
So,
just kind of like dumb it down a little bit, you know?
yeah, sure, yeah.
Just kind of get a little summary.
So glitch gum was something that I was kind of like I started on the side, because I wanted to make music, and I mean I've been writing music for a while, but like just like listening to like 100 Gex and artists like them and like Charlie XCX in my spare time and being like, this is really cool. Like it would be cool if I could like try something like that. And it started off as like like haha hee hee, what if I did that? I'm not gonna tell anybody because they think I'm really weird. Um, and then it just kind of like went from there. I just started writing songs. I'm like, you know what? No, this is gonna be like my artist project. I'll put out an EP under this name and stuff. Um, and then just like doing that, and then I started putting stuff out, and then people started like wanting to work with me, like I wouldn't say locally, but like underground artists. And one of them was a guy named CM10 who just reached out over DMs and was like, hey, like I have this song, it's called Never Met, do you want to be on it? I'm like, sure, why not? Like it'll be fun, like let's do it. And so I did like a little thing for it, and then we ended up promoting it to TikTok, and they just took it into their own hands. It blew it up from there, and now it's sitting at like millions of plays, which is just beyond me. I don't know how that happened, but just grateful for it. So that's what happened. That's where I'm at now, and now we're like working on like music and trying to like keep our names up there. Me specifically, I like specifically on my end, I'm doing like working on a project, releasing singles. Got one that's probably out by the time you'll see this, called Pizza. But yeah, my writing process really, it depends, because like, okay, the thing I forgot to mention about glitchgum, if you don't know what glitchcore hyperpop is, it's very electronic based. So it's like the complete opposite of this right here. It's like mostly in a computer and stuff. And so and I feel like electronic musicians have definitely a different writing approach than like instrument musicians. Like Luke, I bet if you were to write a song, you'd sit down with a guitar and be like, what kind of riff could I do? And then,
I mean, that's exactly how I do it.
just come out like, how did I forget it already? Something like that, I didn't forget.
I couldn't even hear you playing, and somehow the audio cut out at that
no, yeah, it's
moment.
That just like came to you, didn't it? Like,
I think no, what actually happened was, so Seth, myself, this guy named Alex, and the bassist Owen were just in the parking garage at Belmont, and I just started playing something, and then they just started playing drums to it, and I was just like, okay.
yeah, well, like that's how it happens. Like, yeah, and like with electronic music, like some days, okay, to answer your question, like my writing process, sometimes I'll sit down and be like, I don't know what I'm gonna make. Let's pick a sound and start playing with notes and see where it goes, and then like adding the beat to it and all that, and just see what happens, and maybe I'll end up writing lyrics to it or something. But so that's like how I guess like half, or like 30-40% of my songs come out. The other half is like I will just have an idea in my head, and it's like playing in my head on loop, like a CD, and it's just like playing in my head, and I'm just like, okay, now I need to translate it to programming. I use FL Studio. That's my DAW of choice for doing like electronic stuff, and then I use Logic for vocals and processing and all that. So yeah, my writing process is usually like I have an idea and then I just like try to translate it. That's how a lot of the songs on like the EP came about. So yeah.
Yeah, that's
And just
definitely
like
kind of
trying
like
to
a
be,
new way of thinking
yeah, and
about
also
writing
just
music.
like, yeah, I'm just trying to be like as weird and unconventional as possible sometimes, but also like knowing like, if you have a catchy, pop hit, like that's fine. You can keep it like that. But also like just trying to make things like unique as well. And like, I don't know, I like writing like new things, but I usually end up like ripping off my influences, which is fine. We all start there. This project is basically like a year old anyway, so it's not even that old. So I'm still gonna be ripping off people for sure.
But it's still amazing what you've accomplished in literally like 1 year. Actually, more like 4 or 5 months is
Yeah,
like
no,
when it
like
really.
the Never Met thing was like a summer when all that happened. Like we put it out in May, and then literally like a couple days later, it was getting like thousands of views on TikTok, or at least 8,000 views on TikTok. 1,000 is what I meant to say. And then like it hit like 1,000 streams on Spotify in like 5 days, which none of my stuff had ever hit 1,000 streams before then. So I was like, now I'm famous. And then like in the course of like 2 months, it got to 100,000 streams, and then in a week it went from 100,000 to 1,000,000, and that's when I was just looking at the numbers like, what is happening? This is beyond me. Like, oh, I don't know anymore. And then things were just like going up ever since then, and now it's like it's at that point where it's like still going up, and I'll look at the numbers occasionally and be like, wow, it's like wow, but like it like for the whole month of July, it was happening in my face at all times, and I couldn't escape it, and it was just like, wow, like thank you to whoever's up there orchestrating this.
Yeah, I remember tracking it all summer. I actually remember when it was released because like I followed your account. I was like, okay, this is actually a pretty good song, and I saved it myself to be able to download on Spotify.
Yeah.
And then I think I heard something from Seth, your brother, and I was just like, really? It's at like 10,000, 15,000 streams already? And then I just tracked it out the summer, and I was just like in awe the entire time. I was
Bro,
like,
same here.
I know this kid.
No, like literally, it's like I am this kid. I'm like, and it still shocks me to think like that is our song. That is my part of this song. I'm like that. Wow, like a bunch of people like that. Like that's just like wow, that's me. Like it doesn't even feel like it was my song at this point, because it's just like so big. I'm like, no, that can't be me. Can't be me living in a dorm, going to school. You can't be me pushing carts at Sam's Club and then going back to my parents' house over the summer. It can't be me.
Yeah, that's
It's
kind of
got to be
like,
someone else living in a mansion that's making this song.
yeah, that's not normal. Like for somebody to get like that like well known throughout like, that short of time and still be at school.
Yeah, that has been ridiculous, and also just like how organically and how fast it blew up was the most jarring part for me, and the part that I still wrestle with is like it blew up so organically. It's like I always say it's like how people dream to have done it. Like, oh, I'm gonna put this song out and people are just gonna like it, and it's gonna go up super fast, and I'm gonna be a superstar. And I always was under that mindset that's never how it happens. But it actually kind of happened once, and now I'm trying to like convince myself that it won't happen again, so I don't like disappoint myself in the future.
Setting the expectations low so you don't be too disappointed.
Exactly. Like I'm still out here like busting my butt like, can you please listen to my new song, please? Like, please, I need the
Oh yeah, all
listeners.
TikTok thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what happened when my song went up on TikTok. I just like picked up on like all the TikTok things.
And then, so it was actually interesting. I read this like article because I was thinking of things to like talk about for this interview,
Hmm.
and I was like, when it went to straight TikTok, that's like when it really skyrocketed because TikTok, the algorithm is sort of weird. It like separates you into like what you like, and
Yes, it
so
does.
the
And then
fact that
people
both of them came together, like
that
really
polarized people.
skyrocketed. It's skyrocketed.
Yes, that was definitely the point. And also it was funny watching all that like once people like Addison Rae or like Lil Huddy or um some other like straight TikTokers. I don't believe in the whole like gatekeeping thing. I don't like it that much. But when people like that started using it, like the people who were using it at the beginning felt like entitled, and they're like, "You stole this song from us. Like, why did you do that?" I'm like, "It's just a TikTok." Like, and also like on the same token, like, don't you want me to make money? Like, don't you want me to like kind of have a career? Like, you're like, oh, I love your music, but I hope that no one with clout discovers you so that you can keep your artistic integrity. But like, no, I want to keep my artistic integrity and have enough money to do so, like
You're still in school for another 3 years. You have to have that integrity.
exactly. And I don't know but that was crazy. But you do bring up a good point. Like, yeah, it really like crossed over, and it really, because like really like hyperpop and glitchcore is so like underground. It is like its own little world. Um, like it's we are the weird kids really in this scene. Like people are like, oh, we don't talk to people who like 100 gex. They all have mental illnesses or something like that. That was actually a joke that was on TikTok. It made me sad. But yeah, never met really like crossed over to the other side, and it became like almost like a defining hit of some sorts, and that is still crazy to me. And I sometimes I don't like to think about it, but it's really cool, and I'm just super thankful.
Yeah. Well, congrats, man. I think
Well,
that's all the time we have right now.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, give him a follow on Instagram, Glitch Gun Music, right?
Yes, Glitch Gum Music.
And I'll of course link it into the blog post. But yeah, thank you for coming in to talk to me virtually.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Do you have any closing remarks?
Um, to any musician or artist, to any musician or artist out there struggling with their craft, I just encourage you to be yourself. No, I'm just joking. Like, really, really do like be yourself and do what you want to do and believe in yourself, and like just go where you want to go. And it may not make money, but uh that's only until you work at it long enough and hard enough and push yourself. Then I think you can do anything you want to. So I guess my closing remarks is do what you want to do, whatever it is, and have fun with it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks again.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No problem.